I'm Alan Paul. I'd like to welcome you to the first recording of Flyers TV. This we'll be doing on a regular basis to introduce you to various people within the club and let you know what's happening during the season. Today, the first guest is our player coach, Todd Dutiaume, and we'll have a few questions to ask Todd just shortly. Todd, welcome to Flyers TV, a new venture for us. I think it should be quite exciting over the season. First season in the League, what's your reflection so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a difficult start for us. I mean, we've talked about this extensively. We kind of identified that it was going to be difficult. But at this point, we have a couple wins under our belt. We've had a few disappointing losses, but I think that it's good to see the teams competed in some of the games that they've played, specifically with the limited import numbers, which probably we'll talk with later in this interview, that we're looking to improve upon. But you know what? It's good to be back playing good competitive hockey, seeing old faces back in the building along with a lot of the new ones, and having imports in the building again. Not only just for the sake of having imports, but for the sake of bringing on our local guys again. I think they reached a ceiling of where they were playing, and now I think practicing with these guys, we're seeing the likes of Stephen Gunn, Calpine, Blair Daly. They're probably taking their game to the next level, and over the course of the season, I think we'll see these guys pushed on.
We're 3 months into the season. Do you feel that the Elite League, has it surprised you? Is the standard higher than you thought maybe it would be, or is it pretty much what you expected?
Yeah, I think it's now that we're into it, I think that you kind of do expect that level of hockey. I mean, but what is probably the most difficult transitions taken the last couple of years down in the lower leagues is that it's every night. Before you would get maybe a hard game here or there. Now this is 2 hard games a weekend. In the case of just last weekend there, it was 4 games and 5 nights. So guys definitely aren't used to that. And plus, you start picking up injuries, which is something that we've never really had to worry about before, because we've always had such a big squad to absorb that. So there's a few adjustments we've had to make, but I would say good adjustments, and challenges. So hopefully we can improve here and build in the upcoming months.
We got our first win the other week against Hull, and it was a great night because I felt the atmosphere in the building was just how I remember Fife from the old days.
Yeah.
The crowds are getting are bigger, and it was a tremendous atmosphere. I think the one thing that we do have here is a loyal set of fans, and I think we potentially do have the biggest fan base in Scotland. Would you tend to agree with that?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's something that we have to build back up, because I was saying to somebody last week, when I first came here 13 years ago, the place was crazy. It really was, and there were special games that I've played in over the last number of years that I'll always remember, But I think that certainly in some games here, the people are crying out for it. They want to see a win. They want to see a home win on a regular basis, and they want to see some nice goals scored. And you can see, when Sedal scored a couple goals here, the place has erupted. You know what I mean? We got that win. You could see what it meant to the guys. You could see what it meant to the crowd, and the buzz around town for that week or 4 or 5 days that we had was a great feeling. And that's something that believe me, we want. The directors want, and you can tell by what you just said, the atmosphere out there, the people want as well.
We're playing, I think, with 7 imports just now.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I have found, the imports you have brought in are a very, very good standard, and it's probably as good as any in the league. The goalie's been outstanding this season. How do you find them? Is it through agents, or is it just knowledge of the game in Canada as well?
Yeah, I think what you have to do is you call on a lot of resources. Obviously my previous boss here, Mark Morrison, he has a little bit to do with it. Other agents that we've dealt with in the past, and certainly you call on a lot of friends for favors and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is doing research into a guy, because guys do come across the desk in great numbers, and it's easy to bring a guy in for the sake of bringing a guy in, but you really want to bring him in, A, how they're going to interact in the dressing room, B, how they're going to interact around town, and probably most importantly, how they're going to perform on the ice. And I think that one of my biggest problems this year was normally we would have a core of 3 or 4 imports that have been playing here for a number of years. They could bring these guys in, show them the way, how the town works, how the room works, everything in the rink, but we didn't do that. We had to start from scratch again. We didn't have that support base that we're normally used to, you know. So that was one of the biggest challenges, was getting these guys settled in, showing them how to play the UK game. And now that they are, I mean, you probably see night and day. Like, use Sidal for an example. You know, he'd be out there for 30, 35 seconds, banging and crashing. He'd come off, and I'd have to be putting him out right away. He didn't realize, you know, I need him out there for a minute, minute 10, minute 15 sometimes. And when he comes off, he's going to get a break for 30 seconds and go back out. You know, to step back to, you're saying, you know, we have some of the best imports in the country. I think we do, but I'm also relying on it very heavily. Yeah. So you know, we're competing in games, whereas we were losing right off the bat here. Now we're competing well into the second, into the third period. These guys are getting tired now, and that's when teams are starting to, you know, start to pick off goals. It happened the other night, you know, against Belfast. So with the addition of a couple of guys, take a few minutes off these guys' logging hours, I think we'll get even more out of them, because they are really good players.
I'm glad you said it, because a lot of fans seem to think that there's hundreds of players out there and it's just go and get one. It's not as simple as that. There's so many things, as you've just mentioned, that we've got to get right.
Yeah.
Having said that, is there hopes of someone coming in soon? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, before now, I would have liked to make an announcement about an individual coming in. I think we're close, and I'll be quite pleased if we get the individual that we've been targeting. And then I keep pushing on for more from there, because you know I agree with you. There are hundreds of players out there, but I mean, I think the knowledgeable fan, certainly in Kirkcaldy, will know that there's imports coming here before and they haven't fit in, and next thing you know, they're out the door. And that's not a situation my director is going to tolerate. A, that falls on my shoulders, and B,
it's a costly business.
It is a costly business, especially nowadays. You know, back 10 years ago, it was still a bit costly, but you know, it was affordable. People's tickets are going up, everything's going up, so people want to they're demanding a good product out on the ice. We always knew this was going to be a difficult year for us, but I've been pushing and pushing and pushing, and hopefully we get a few more guys in, and I think that'll turn a lot of those closer results around, maybe allow us compete in some of the bigger games, and we'll take it from there, you know?
I think you're absolutely right. I think the one thing that at the moment, we're still in touch with that 8th playoff spot.
Yep.
And when you bring the new guys in, I think we could really push on, because even with the 7, we've been playing really, really well. I think it's just, you explained yourself, it's been tiredness, and a lot combined with injuries as well, of course. Do you anticipate someone in, well, not for Saturday obviously, but within the next week or so?
I would certainly say it has to happen. I mean, because I think it's been left late enough. I think that, but believe me, it hasn't been left till yesterday when they say go find a guy. This has been going on for the last month, and I think it's not the mistake I made. I think that certainly my view on it is I would like to be a lot more open with the folk out there that want to know what's going on with the inside dealings of the club. Obviously, they can't know every single thing. No, but when I came out and I had mentioned we're looking for a D-man, like that was my day that I got to go ahead to start looking. Yeah. So these things, you just don't pick up the telephone and say, oh, we'll bring him in. That's perfect. You know what I mean? Sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes you get lucky. But, you know, it's been a long, arduous process, specifically this time of year, you know. It's not always that easy. And there's a variety of reasons why a player doesn't come in, you know, whether I talk to him and it's not the right attitude, or we're miles apart on money, or whatever, you know what I mean? But certainly it's not something that we've been dragging our feet on. But it's something that is required for the success of the club. And I think that, you know, just to take a step back, we're saying all these teams that we're close with, like we played Hull the other night, they have 11 imports on their books. Yeah. So they can absorb an injury and stuff like this. We're playing with 7. Me out 6. Cohen hurt a bit. Well, Cohen hurt, he's still a full import because he's that good. But, I mean, we have lots of room for improvement, whereas a lot of the teams around us don't, you see. Yeah. So I know I've been saying that. Now it's time to strike and get a couple guys in.
Yeah. Looking forward to this weekend, we've got 2 tough games. Edinburgh, who have surprised many people this year. Yeah. They're a good side. Yep. They come here on Saturday, and then down to Cardiff on Sunday. They'll be smarting about after that shock defeat against Hull last night. So it's going to be a tough weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and like we talked about at the start of the interview, every weekend's a tough weekend.
Yeah.
You know, specifically for us, when
Yeah.
you're down at the bottom of the pack,
Yeah.
you don't view anything as a easy weekend. But I mean, Edinburgh, arguably our closest rivals over the years. Like certainly back when I was playing, that was the main rivals. You know, so and we got to do a lot better against them. I mean, we got to win against them in the cup. You know,
Yeah.
and I think now it's time we got to strike in the league, and I think this would be a good statement for us to make. I think that the likes of Hamilton and Sadal are realizing that, you know, if we're going to get a lot of offense generated, it's going to come off their sticks. Hartmanis, this type of play will probably suit him a little bit more. The European style playing. So hopefully we see a big game out of those guys. Gunny and Hamish, they've been playing better. I think that they're going to start chipping in offensively here sooner or later, and so Saturday's a big night. So hopefully we get a great crowd for that, and a couple points. And then, I mean, Cardiff, everybody knows what it's like to go down to Cardiff. It's a small rink, big team, they run and gun, and you're right, they're going to want to make a statement. They certainly probably didn't enjoy losing to Hull, but it also has to give a team like us hope, or teams around us hope, that you know, one of the top 5 can be picked off possibly. So we're going to have to come out there and you know, have a bit of self-belief and go out there and just see what happens.
And how's injuries looking for the weekend? Are you fit yourself? Or?
Yeah, well, for myself, I haven't been responding as well as I would have liked to have been. But you know what, the rest of the gang, we had Willie Nicholson out skating with us the other night. Okay. So it looks like, you know, bar myself, it looks like we'll be pretty much up to 100%. Guys have been doing well.
Good. Well, Todd, thanks very much for your time. It's the first interview for New Flyers TV, the first of many, I hope.
Yeah.
And we'll feature interviews with some of the other imports later. But thanks for taking your time to come along, and good luck this weekend.
Yeah, anytime, Alan. Thanks a lot.